I'd like to call the Wednesday, January 29th Executive Committee meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Lear?
Present.
Mr. Washington?
Present.
Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Tholen? Mr. Byrne?
Present.
Ms. Weber?
Present.
Mr. Payton?
Present.
Mr. Kinzinger?
Present.
Ms. Haas? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Miller?
Present.
Mr. Seroy?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler? We have a quorum.
Thank you. Do I have any public comment today? I don't have any cards. Seeing any public comment? See a little public here. No public comment. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes for December 19th, 2019. Mr. Washington with the first, Mr. Payton with the second. I'll have a voice vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Lear, do you have a legislative report?
Yes, I went to UCCI meeting on Monday. I think the major thing that I would point out is the comment that was made in terms of the difficulty they're having in getting workers for the 2020 census. Clearly, that is something that we need to be very conscious of and promoting. We need to have enough people working on those. I don't know that the problem is as great in Kankakee County. Some of the more rural counties are having bigger problems, I think. But other things that came up was the UCCI organization got a royalty check from the insurance pool that they participate in for $1,060,000. So that helps that organization a lot. As far as Springfield itself, I'm sure all of you are aware that we have a new Senate president. Don Harmon has been elected the new Senate president. In terms of what's going to happen in Springfield, the information they had is they suspect that property tax is going to be on everybody's minds and relief on that, but unfortunately the difficulties of that subject probably are not going to lead to much. Just as a kind of side note, the kind of legislation that gets introduced this year is going to be rather strange sometimes. Apparently there has been a bill introduced that will require every elected official to wear a body cam during meetings that they're participating in. I doubt if it's going to go anywhere.
Like a GoPro hat.
On a more serious note, a large part of our meeting on Monday dealt with the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act. I have a very extensive PowerPoint presentation if anyone wants to look more closely at it. The original bill was some 800 pages. They put it through so fast that they had to do 600 pages of cleanup. They may not be done yet. But the two major points that were made in the power presentation that I heard dealt with the different kinds of businesses that the ordinance would regulate. I don't think we need to go into that in a lot of detail here right now. The other important factor is in relation to employment. And I'm going to want to talk to Ms. Beckman in terms of ensuring that we've updated our policies in regard to what needs to be done with this new legislation in place. And I can let you know later what if we need to do anything more in terms of our policies, because there's some new items that need to be addressed because of the passage of the legislation. And anyone want to see this in more detail, I can have a copy prepared for you.
Okay, if the committee would like to see, did you present is that the PowerPoint presentation?
This is the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, if anybody would like a copy
right
of that, or if the committee desires, we can bring it next meeting and talk about it, or he can go through it, we can put it up on the screen, but.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is not specifically important for our committee because the action we've taken eliminates a lot of what is in this presentation.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Lear? Any questions? Questions? Thank you, Steve. Mr. Washington, I'm sorry, sir.
I'd still be interested in the whole thing, so if we had a copy by next meeting, that'd be fine.
Yes. Any others? Any others? All right, no appointments at this moment for this meeting. I know we have some openings coming up later in the agenda. Information Services, Mr. Kevin Duvall, to give his monthly update. Look at this guy. I like the beard, Kevin.
A lot more gray than
Yeah. Shows your age a little bit.
I'll keep it brief. We finished the 2-year project. We've updated all of the desktop and office software for the departments that we manage. In addition to that, the VAC and the Highway Department, which we manage, but we manage by them asking us and the board approving for us to go do it. In November and December, they both asked to do the same thing. They paid for all those. We've completed that. So all of the ones that we manage are in compliance. They're on the proper software to be in compliance with both insurance claims, and what we would want as a county is to always be protected to the most that we can do, that's where they're sitting at. Okay, in addition to that, I want to warn all the board members, just something I do occasionally every few years, about the webmail access. This is the season that you're going to get the extremely dangerous virus and Trojans. We provide you with emails so you can have your constituency have a way to send things to you. It's not your primary one, but it's something that allows them to send to you. From after Christmas until March, that's the most dangerous time of the industry. That's the ones that are really bad, that if they hit your system, they're gonna wipe you out. So what we did is did a modification to the web, to your webmail. One of the bad viruses are ones that they send to pretend to be somebody else than they are. They use the shortcut name. But if, as some of you have talked to, if you hover over that shortcut, you'll see it's actually not coming from the person you thought it to be. What we were able to do with the your webmail, is we were able to turn off the shortcut, so you'll actually see who it's coming from. And the reason those are able to go through most anti-spam, because they're not pretending to be somebody else. They say who they are. They're just using something. They know it's something that the engineers do to make it easier on people to go through the email, but they exploit it knowing it's actually, you probably should be looking at this other thing. So I'm notifying that we did turn it off so you can see. Regardless, if you see anything is suspicious, here's procedure: delete it. Don't forward it to anybody. Don't even take a risk. Either delete it or leave it there and call or email to that person yourself saying, hey, did you mean to send something? So in amount of a few seconds, you accomplish the same thing, but you know you're not infecting yourself. The thing that's more important to the county is we need you to not forward that on, because what'll happen is potentially, if it is a virus, your email account will get blacklisted. And if you're blacklisted across the world. Well, that's bad enough because you will not be able to correspond with that account to anybody that's probably important to you. What's more important is you potentially could blacklist the county's domain. Now we can't transact business. We can't have cash flows go because we'll be blocked off from every government, every vendor we do. So it's important to not forward those on. We've had it happen in the past. Sometimes if I can get us off in maybe 6 or 8 hours. Some I can't get off for days. Some I can't get us off of that blacklist for weeks. And there's some like, hey, oh, you never get off of. Well, that's too dangerous to the county and their business. So if any question, it's just email, delete it. The world's not going to end if you miss something, because you can always contact that person. So be very careful with that. And for your own safety, you make sure you don't want to affect your own system. We have less of that problem because we don't list the county employees' emails. You need to do it for your constituencies, so you're always going to be on the dangerous list for people because they don't even know it's you. These are bots that are scrubbing websites to see whatever emails are on it, and it goes to an automated process. They don't know they're attacking you. It'll feel very personal. They have no clue that they're doing to you. And since it's bots, they may have millions of these things going a day. So if they get less than 1%, they're still making money off it. They only keep doing this because it works to a certain extent to make it profitable to them. So it'll never stop. We've got system in place that helps protect, but there's always, we do this to fix something, they find a new way. So it'll always be caught up, it'll be caught up after the fact. So I'm just warning you, be very careful. If you have any question, just delete it and either call or send an email yourself to that person, because you know the email you're sending to it is that person. Some of you did receive one. We got most of them. Some of you did receive one that was a fake one from a certain party. I don't want to say this because if somebody's listening to it, I want to get even more flood of that. If you had hovered over that, you would see that it actually wasn't that from that person, but everybody, the boardman actually got it. We just weren't able to get it to some, because some people have you hooked into your phones or whatever, so you actually got it before we could get to it, delete. So just warning you, be very careful.
Mr. Leary, you have a question?
Thank you, Sharon. Kevin, which way do you think would be best to communicate? We've only got a portion of the county board members here. The warning to all members of the board, how would be the best way to communicate that? Presenting it at a county board meeting or some other form of communication?
The best way is how we're doing. We tell you, you tell the other board members, because the more public you're doing it, even what I'm doing right. Oh, yeah. Really? Well, you kind of hate to do this. If you're in a private sector, it would be internal emails that nobody else would say, but you're telling criminals, okay, this is the way to do it. I don't even normally like discussing that, but this was something that it was important. But you'll notice that I don't say this every month because I don't like to go into this topic that much. This
let them know we know.
Yes, it's important enough to remind you to not pass it on. I'm more worried about that because you guys are all pretty good about not clicking on things because we don't hear about you guys getting infected. We don't want you to pass it on because we do need to be able to transact business. We need accounting departments, or say the sheriff's department, they use our email service. They transact with whoever to transact most of the transit receipts, and saying this prisoner may be transferred to here and here comes with the federal. Well, you need to not block us off of that. So it's not a little deal if we get on that list. So default to, if it's even questionable, just delete it. You're going to see that person anyway, probably within a day or so. So that's the worst case. So the easiest thing, just send an email, say, hey, did you mean to send me something?
Interesting. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Duval? Thanks, Kevin.
No
Thanks. Well, speaking of virus season, I'd like to bring the health department up with Mr. John Beavis. Kind of strange that virus season and flu season overlap, you know. Good morning.
Good morning. I would like to thank Kevin for bringing up viruses, and he had a good quote there a second ago, don't pass it on, but in relation to computers, obviously, and that's important. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about the stories that have been in the news recently about the coronavirus, the new novel virus from China, in relation to the flu that's already here in the United States, and just hopefully try to calm some fears and panic that I think is out there in relation to that. So real quick, just to give you the Cliff Notes version of what's going on with this novel coronavirus. It was detected in Wuhan, China at the end of the 2019 in December. There are 5 airports. O'Hare is one of those where they are routing international travelers, especially from Wuhan and China vicinity, through those airports to do screening, to attempt to contain any potential exposure and communication there in relation to the virus. Patients who present with fever or respiratory symptoms are then being further questioned and treated and potentially quarantined. So basically, the extent of it is, if any of you have traveled to Wuhan, China recently, within the last couple of weeks, you might want to be concerned. If you have been to Wuhan, China, and you feel sick today, you definitely want to be concerned. If you live with anybody who's been to Wuhan, China, and or have been in close contact with them in the last 14 days and they're sick, then you want to be concerned. Otherwise, you don't really need to be concerned, and you can be aware of it, and that would be the end of it. I would like to say, though, as of today, this morning, I was reading this before I came into work, so far with this coronavirus, mostly in China, there's approximately 6,000 people who they have listed as being contagious. They have it. There have been 132 deaths. That sounds like a lot. It is a lot. It's 130 too many deaths. However, the death rate then in relation to that is less than 3% in relation to this coronavirus. That seems to be all we're hearing about in the news. In the United States right now, the 2019-2020 flu that's going through the United States, and Illinois is now a red state, and it's getting a lot of cases, and I think Kankakee is finally starting to see it. I had a talk with a principal at a school yesterday who's got 20% absenteeism as a result of students and teachers who have the flu. We have some people at the health department. In the United States, we have, so in China, they have 6,000 people right now, 132 deaths. In our flu season alone here so far, we've had over 140,000 people confirmed with the flu and over 8,000 deaths. I'm not hearing too much about that in the news, and that's sad. That's unfortunate. We encourage people to get the flu shot. We say that you should stay home when you have the fever, wash your hands, do all these kinds of things, but we tend to just blow that off, unfortunately. But you get another disease that starts in another country, and that becomes the news and the disease topic of the day, and it seems that that's what takes most of our time. So I'm not downplaying that. We're in direct contact with the Illinois Department of Public Health on a daily basis. We've got a webinar right after this at 10 o'clock where we're going to be getting updated information. But this is just another flu. It doesn't seem to be as dangerous as the one that's here in the United States as of today. We continue to press that people that haven't gotten their flu shot, please get your flu shot. This is, any flu or any virus is going to be, usually it impacts the youth, the young children, elderly, and individuals who are already, maybe they're already sick with something else. They're undergoing treatment, chemotherapy, for example, and their bodies are ravaged by that. And then they get the flu that most of us will normally survive and get through after a few days of heck. But it's too much for them, and that's what kills them. And that's why the deaths are then attributed to either the pneumonia or the flu. So it is something to be very aware of, that it's going on. Pay attention to the news, but we don't need to be running down the street screaming our heads off that we need to be worried about what's coming from China, because we've already got a flu right here that's twice, the impact that they're seeing right now. With that, I'll entertain any questions.
Mr. Washington.
John, are the symptoms of the corona basically the same as the flu that's currently going around?
Yes, the symptoms are fever, cough, shortness of breath, which leads to pneumonia, which is basically flu-like symptoms. So I kind of chuckled when I first read, this new disease is out and it has flu-like symptoms. Well, it's because it's a version of the flu. This isn't a new disease. I mean, it's a variant of the MERS and the SARS from 2012 and 2013. Those outbreaks caused approximately 800 deaths back then, which isn't a lot in the scheme of life with the total population of the world or the United States at that point. So it just seems to be now, viruses mutate. Once we figure something out about them, they mutate into something different. That's why there's a different flu shot every year. We encourage people to get those. A lot of people don't. I was just talking with Anita. We have employees who refuse to get them. They work at the health department, so we can't make them, but we encourage them. And then when they get sick, most of us, like I said, we're going to be strong enough and healthy enough to be able to fight that off after a few days or a week of just being very sick and having to stay home if we do. But what happens is parents can't get babysitting, and so they give their kid Tylenol. The fever's gone for a day and they send them to school, say the fever's gone. Well, the fever comes back, they contaminate their classroom, and that's why you have schools with 20% absent rates right now. And they don't know what to do. And so they'll call us up and ask us, should we be doing anything different? And I said, well, I can't tell you when is a number to call off your school or something like that. They have rules and regulations, a number of days. But there's just too many factors here that cause us to not go down that road, that people have to work. You're going to have your champion warriors who are going to come into work no matter what because they don't want to take a day off. And then ultimately they contaminate your office or your suite. And then 3 or more of those people end up getting sick and stay home because they have the sick days and they don't want to get anybody else sick. So that's where we're at here in the United States. But over in China, they're basically canceling school for 2 weeks. They're canceling their New Year's activities. They said that this 11 million population city is basically a ghost town because people are sick and they're taking it seriously and they're staying home, and hopefully they can break that connection. And then on the backside of this, nobody else will get sick. Over here, we just trudge right through.
Is there a count of the number of flus that we've had over the years?
I'm sure there is a number. I don't have it today. And, like I said, every year it mutates.
Every year's a different one, yeah.
And so I think, that from what I've heard is that theoretically every year when there's a new flu shot that is out there for everyone to take, I think it has 2 to 3 variants because they're trying to guess which one is going to impact the most that year. Some years it's spot on and some years it's not. This flu this year seems to be a pretty strong one. But again, and it's impacting the young and the old, and then those who are immunocompromised is what I want to say.
Okay.
It's a vicious cycle, the flu, and just like you said, I got school bus immunity, so I try to trudge through it. Any kind of diseases they come around, I'm good. So any other questions, Mr. Smith?
It's not a question. I just want to pass on a commendation to Mr. Beavis. I actually had a couple constituents ask some questions about new state food handling rules. He got back to me, got me the information, he and his staff, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll pass that on.
Very good.
So just lastly, I just want to say, if we're going to be concerned about our computers, we should be concerned about ourselves. Please get a flu shot and don't pass it on. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, John. Next up is, I don't see Dr. Murphy here, schools. Do we have a report from him that we can't even accept? Okay. Then we'll go down to number 10, VAC, Karen Smitansky. Well, you've got a report in here. Do you want to, I need a motion to accept her report, Mr. Hess, and seconded by Mr. Lear. Do we have any discussion on the report? Any discussion? Mrs. Weber.
Thank you. I appreciate all the extensiveness of the report and the highlights from last year and your goals for next year. And it seems like a line that's coming through most of your reporting is care for the homeless. So I wonder if you would comment on that.
Come on up here, Karen.
Morning.
Nice try, Trina.
Well, you know, I don't want to take up anybody's time if I don't
You're
have to.
fine, thank you.
So in answer to that, I think that our focus on homelessness comes from the VA and working with veterans to end veteran homelessness. Our continuum of care is actually starting at Bloomington area. It's the central continuum of care, which is the focus of all homelessness, not just veterans. But last year, I believe it was in October, they considered our area free of veteran homelessness.
Really?
And that was this is the contingent part of it, is that they consider our homeless ended because they feel that anybody that becomes homeless can have their issues solved within, I believe it's a 10-day period. So we would have them off the street, have them housed, have a roof over their head, period. I feel that in our area, we work really well with the Catholic Charities SSVF, which is the Supportive Services for Veterans and Families. It's a VA grant-funded program. Some areas, the Salvation Army has it. Some places, Catholic Charities have it. Other places, Joliet, there are 3, or Will County, there are 3 places that have this VA grant funding. So between working with them, and then we also have a nonprofit that runs through our office, also Will County's office, LaSalle, Grundy, Iroquois, Kendall, there was one more, Kendall County. So that our Patriots grant, it's the nonprofit, actually helps with filling in the blanks where a VAC can't. We're strapped with what we can actually help by state statute. So that program actually will grant funding to people that have mortgage payments that are unusual, that they can't get fixed, or if a vet's car breaks down, we can't help with those things typically. And then I will say that the nonprofit out of Manteno, Project Headspace and Timing, is really the upcoming nonprofit that I'm working with. We are focused and have it set that in the spring of 2021, we have builders ready to go for a tiny home village in Kankakee County.
That's awesome.
We're working on land, and that is probably going to be our toughest opposition. Last August, we had a fundraiser. We raised over $20,000 in one day. This year it will be August 8th. I hope you all put it on your calendar now because it's downtown Manteno, and we hope to make it bigger and better. We're hoping to double our profits that day. And then we have a whole line of grant funding we're looking at through the state, McCormick Foundation, and all sorts of places. So between all that, we really, I will tell you, the tiny home village is a big thing that people are working on across the country, and we hope to have about 12 houses come next year.
What kind of land are you looking for? What's your goal?
5 acres-ish.
5 acres.
Yep, so the first phase of the project will actually be a community center with about 10 to 12 homes. Veterans with families, whether it's a female and offspring or a man and his wife, and is really hard to house. So the second phase will be houses. We will get a phase where we actually have 3 to 4 homes that will do veterans with families. And then the third phase we're looking at will actually be more tiny homes and a continuation of the community center with more training, job security type stuff. The veterans that have income will, of course, have a stipend that they pay every month. The ones that don't will be looking for jobs, and the other ones will actually contribute to the care of the facility and until they can get back on their feet. If they're unable to work, we'll figure something out from there. So, and the goal is actually to have a substation of the VAC at the outreach center too. We'll have somebody out there 2 or 3, 4 days a week. So,
are you looking to put it in a municipality types for transportation purposes, or do you have any? You know, I don't want to open the can, but
I'll open a can. I may be out of Project Headspace and Timing's thought process, but we have actually talked to Midland and the real estate people that are in charge of the clock tower building out at Mantino at the old facility. It's empty.
Yeah.
We'd use that as maybe our community center, and then there's a lot in front of it and 3 lots behind it. And it would fit our needs. So our next goal is to go out and look at it. The only other place that we've really had, I guess there's really 2, but the other one that we've had our heart looking at is Merlin Carlock's golf course building out there and the property around it. And we haven't gotten any response from his kids. His kids actually run it, but Merlin is a Marine. And, you know, naming it after him would be our goal if we can get him or his family to do that. But no matter where it goes, I mean, I think it's going to be really good. But part of the question to answer that is we want it to be able to have bus service, because obviously
Yes.
a lot of these people don't have cars, they won't be driving or whatever. So absolutely, positively, that is.
Well, when you get it set up, I'm sure we got a guy in the room that can probably get you on the line,
and
Mr. Wilson.
And the properties that are out there at Mantino are actually owned by the township, so they're not actually by an individual, so we don't have to worry about buying them off of them and, you know, maybe working out a deal with the township or whatever. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll be visiting that property and seeing if we can work out something.
All right, Mr. Washington.
So basically, from what you have told us, you're declared to be non-homeless because of your efficiency.
I would like to think that, but it's not mine. But yes, as a
I'm talking
team.
about the organization, yeah.
Yes, as a team, our team and our people that we work with, yes.
Well, I think that deserves congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Agreed.
Yeah, we
Agreed.
work hard at it, that's for sure, so.
Any other questions about our report or anything?
I have one other comment.
You got it.
Mr. Payton was at our meeting last night, and I told him personally, but I really, being a veteran, being a part of the NAB vets and everything, I really appreciate him coming, and I can't wait for him to continue to come. So it's a great liaison working relationship. So.
All right, so I have a motion and second for her report. All in favor to accept, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Karen. The county administrator's report, Anita Speckman, staffing report. I think you have it in your packet, staffing report.
Good morning, everyone. So, right, the staffing report first. As you can see, it's an increase over last month of 4 heads, but if you look at what we've done, like October, November, it's 541, 542. We're at 542 this month. We have really very few openings within the county. If you look at the job postings on the county website, there's like 3. So we're pretty much where we need to be. We do not, as a comment, we don't post the sheriff's departments. They do their own, and I do know they're looking for some additional people there. So if you look at the report, there are 2 additions in the circuit clerk's office. That was part of her budget for 2020. Going down from there, there's 1 replacement in public defender. As you can see, it was another part-time public defender and then a hire of a full-time, and that's part of that movement from part-time to full-time public defenders.
We have
So
3 now then, or
3,
full-timers?
well, we have 4 full-timers plus
4 full.
plus 1 this month
So
makes
it's
it 5.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. So it was 4 moving to 5.
it was 4. It'll move to 5 next month as I add that one in. The next change down was the Emergency Management Agency. You'll see a full-time there. That was actually a transfer from just below corrections clerical, that minus full-time. That person just changed where they're reporting and where they're being paid. So that's all that is. And then 1 part-time clerk left. The 2 corrections officers that left, interesting, were both hired on June 24th, 2019. 1 actually worked part-time for a while, and then went full-time, just got hired full-time for very short, within a couple weeks, determined that on a full-time basis, that wasn't what he wanted to do, so left. So it's, it's different out there, and yeah,
It's a tough job.
it's very hard, right? And then the full-time temp person for the state's attorney's office is part of the AmeriCorps grant there. So that is not I don't want to say permanent, because permanent isn't a thing, but it's right. It's not a word. It's not a classification. But what will happen is next month, that position, I'll change the heading of seasonal and intern to also include temporary. So it's only for the length of that grant. So any questions on the staffing? No? Okay. The other thing I wanted to share with you is the rollout of our EAP program. You can remember that you approved that in the fall. It's a new benefit that we rolled out to our employees effective December 1st. And the county's invested, for the year, it'll be about $14,000 to cover all employees, full-time and part-time, those covered by our insurance and those that are not, and their families. So any of our employees or their families that have issues can call into the EAP. I included a brochure that you should all have, and you can see if you open it up, it's far more than a referral to mental health, which was our previous provider. There are all sorts of other things, legal resources and childcare resources, college planning, all sorts of other things, retirement planning, that you can have services you can call in. They'll help you find services to help with those. We did a supervisor training on January 17th. We had 2 supervisor training, and we had almost 60, just shy of 60 department heads and supervisors within the county attend. I gave you the seminar evaluation form. We had 25 of them fill them out, and you can see how positive they were. There was really a good response to the training, and that training focused heavily on, it was the introduction piece, but then went into how does a supervisor who may have a troubled employee, or even an employee that was performing well, not making the distinction of what their issue is or determining whether they have a problem, but if you have an employee that was, previously a stellar employee who all of a sudden isn't performing or has attendance issues, how you can utilize the EAP and how they can help our supervisors. And our supervisors have access to call and say, okay, how do I talk to this employee? So it's a benefit to our supervisors as well. We rolled out a bunch of materials last night, a e-brochure, which is this brochure, but electronic format, that we will be posting on the website on the Human Resources page. There's a list of webinars. We can have these people come out for a seminar, just like they did. The one in January, the one last week, was at no charge as part of our rollout, but you can contract with them to come out and do a seminar at a future department head meeting if there's some interest in some of those topics. So I think from the feedback that I received that day and that our account rep received that day was very positive overall.
Any questions? Yes, Mr. Kinzinger.
This program allows a reporting aspect. In other words, they will report back to the county the usage of this program.
Yes, and typically they do that on an annual basis, but what she said is, our account rep said, is they'll give us one, probably give it about 6 months or so, an interim one, because we're interested in knowing whether this is a valuable resource and if it's being utilized. I will say I received within 24 hours several calls from people, well, I tried getting in, I can't get in, is there an issue? So right away, I think there was some interest.
Any other questions, Mrs. Weber?
Thank you. There was an effort to assure employees that there was a safety of privacy, their information would be kept confidential, right?
Right,
That's,
right,
and that's the whole key to it, is that they feel comfortable
Right.
making that content.
Right. And remember that it may not be always an issue that's with privacy. We want our employees sharing any good interactions they have with this. It doesn't necessarily mean something negative. It could be something very positive. So I hope they do share it. The other thing I forgot to mention is we videoed using this video system here. Jason and Kevin videoed the supervisor training. So I have that on video for future use for a department, if as a refresher for the department heads or for their supervisors, or if they hire a new one, they could use it as training for a new supervisor that joins their teams. And then the employee training, we had 2 supervisor trainings and then an employee introduction, which only included here's what it does and here are the services and how you access them. That one was held in the afternoon. It took about a half hour, and we actually had an outside videographer come, and I'm waiting to have that back, but that'll be posted on our website so that all employees have access to that.
Good.
Great news, great news. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we have some administrative issues here, appointments and reappointments and no resignations. Appointment of Abigail Smith to the Regional Planning Commission. Appointment of Mark Provost to the X-Line Drainage District. Appointment of Jennifer Lee to the Kankakee County Housing Authority. Reappointment of Hollis Clark to the Kankakee County Housing Authority. Reappointment of Ron Sealing to the Kankakee County Housing Authority. Reappointment of Augusta Carter to the Kankakee County Housing Authority. And reappointment of Scott O'Brien to the Emergency Telephone System Board. I would need a motion to approve these appointments and reappointments. Mr. Byrne with a first and Mr. Kinzinger with a second. All in favor, or is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Some openings that we have one opening on the Manteno number 9 Drainage District, 3 openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission, 1 opening on the Kankakee County GIS Committee, 1 opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 opening on the Historic Preservation Commission. So if you know anyone that's interested, they can apply online on the county website. Applications are there. I'm not sure if any of these are specific. There's none specific for board members or. Okay, GIS is a board member position. Okay, so we're looking for a board member for the GIS. Thanks, Del. So that being said, is there any new business to come before the committee? Any new business? Any old business to come before the committee? Any old business? Is there any other business? Any monkey business? I'd like to say hi to Mr. Featherling. It's at home watching. He didn't feel up to coming today. He's going to join us at the next one, but this is his first absence, and he said he was really disappointed in it. So, all right, John, I hope you're doing well today. I look for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hess, seconded by Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We don't care. Have a good day.